This question, although intriguing and mysterious, is deeply rooted in the biblical scriptures and raises a series of thought-provoking questions. We often overlook the hidden details that the scriptures offer us, but today, we're going to dive deep into one of those seemingly forgotten moments that speaks to us about power, faith, and the mysteries of the spiritual world. Moses, the great leader of Israel, was one of the most prominent figures in biblical history. He was born in Egypt under adverse conditions and became the liberator of his people, guiding them through the desert to the Promised Land. He was the man chosen by God to receive the Ten Commandments, a beacon of hope, faith, and obedience for all the people of Israel. However, at the end of his life, before entering the Promised Land, Moses made a mistake that would change his destiny in a way no one could have imagined. But what happened after his death is even more fascinating. The Bible tells us that, after his passing, Moses was buried by God himself in a secret place, and his tomb remains hidden to this day. This, in itself, is a mysterious divine act that raises the question, why did God choose to hide the location of his burial? But the story doesn't end there. Something even more enigmatic occurred in the spiritual realm, a celestial battle involving Satan, the Archangel Michael, and the body of Moses. Why would Satan be so interested in claiming Moses' body? What was at stake in that heavenly struggle? Join me on this journey to unravel this profound mystery and reflect on its relevance to us today. To understand the magnitude of this story, we must first step back a little and look at Moses' life. He was a man chosen by God to fulfill an incredible divine mission. Moses led the Israelites out of the slavery of Egypt, facing pharaohs, plagues, and supernatural challenges, all under God's direct guidance. He received God's law on Mount Sinai, an act that not only consecrated him as a leader but also made him the mediator between God and his people. However, in the final moments of his life, Moses made a grave mistake. In the book of Numbers, we are told that, when the people of Israel complained about the lack of water, God gave Moses clear instructions: speak to the rock so that it will give water. But, due to the frustration and anger he felt over the Israelites' constant rebellion, Moses, instead of speaking to the rock, struck it twice with his staff, an action that showed disobedience to the exact instructions God had given him. Seeing this lack of faith and obedience, God told Moses that he would not enter the Promised Land. Despite being a leader who had witnessed countless miracles and divine revelations, this act of disobedience cost Moses access to the place he had led his people to for so many years. This incident highlights an important truth: even great leaders can fall, and often, the smallest mistakes have eternal consequences. After Moses' death, the book of Deuteronomy gives us a brief and enigmatic description of his burial. In Deuteronomy 34 verses 5 to 6, we read, "And Moses died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in the valley, in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, but no one knows his grave to this day." This verse leaves us with a sense of awe and mystery, because, despite being such a crucial man in the history of Israel, his final resting place remains unknown. Why did God choose to keep Moses' tomb hidden? This unusual action raises questions that challenge our understanding. Perhaps the answer lies in the deep respect God had for Moses, a respect that went beyond human traditions. Maybe God wanted to prevent the Israelites from falling into idolatry, as had happened with other great figures, like the golden calf. Keeping his tomb secret ensured that the people of Israel would not stray from true worship of God. But the mystery doesn't end there. In the heavenly realm, a battle broke out over the body of Moses, a battle involving Satan and the Archangel Michael. In the book of Jude, verse 9, we are given a brief but astonishing account of a confrontation between the Archangel Michael and Satan, who desired to seize Moses' body. Although the Bible doesn't give us extensive details about this confrontation, what we do know is fascinating. Satan, the accuser and adversary of God, didn't just want Moses' body for some unknown reason, but he faced Michael, one of the most powerful angels in the heavenly realm. What's remarkable about this story is that Michael, despite being a being of great power, didn't rebuke Satan with his own strength or authority, but instead said, "The Lord rebuke you." This act of humility reveals a profound lesson. Even the most powerful beings recognize that their authority and power come from God. Instead of trying to defeat Satan with his own might, Michael trusted that God's power was greater than any opposition. But why did Satan want Moses' body? What could he gain by possessing the corpse of a man who had already died? There are several theories about Satan's motives. One of the clearest reasons might be his desire to prevent Moses from experiencing what other biblical figures like Elijah or Enoch had experienced, ascension to heaven. Moses, being so important in the history of Israel, could have been a candidate to be taken to heaven in a similar way to how Elijah was taken in a chariot of fire. Satan, always looking to frustrate divine plans, might have wanted to prevent this from happening by taking Moses' body as an obstacle. Another possible reason is that Satan wanted Moses' body to be used to foster idolatry among the Israelites. The history of Israel is full of examples of how the people fell into the temptation to worship objects or figures made by human hands. Satan might have wanted to use Moses' body in a similar way to the golden calf, so the Israelites would begin to venerate it as an idol, diverting them from worshiping God. Finally, there is also the possibility that Satan wanted to use Moses' body to accuse him before God. As the accuser of humanity, Satan might have attempted to present Moses' body as proof of his unworthiness, reminding God of his sins and failures. However, Michael's actions and God's decision to hide Moses' tomb show that, even in the face of Satan's most cunning accusations, God's plans cannot be thwarted. This story, though centered on the figure of Moses, carries a profound lesson for us. It reminds us that, while Satan is cunning and always seeking ways to lead believers astray, God's wisdom and power are infinitely greater. Through humility and faith in God, we can resist the enemy's temptations. Additionally, this story underscores the importance of keeping our worship focused on God and not on the creatures or things He has created. The temptation of idolatry is constant, but we must remember that only God is worthy of our worship. Now, I leave you with a question. Are we being aware of the temptations that surround us in our spiritual walk? Are we keeping our worship focused solely on God, or are we falling into the traps of idolatry of things and people? Remember, while Satan may be cunning, God always has the final word. The story of Moses and his secret tomb reminds us that, even when circumstances seem mysterious or challenging, God is in control. His wisdom and power are infinitely greater than any obstacle we may face. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to not miss any more reflections on these profound biblical topics. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video. God bless you today and always. Amen.